Move this as far as we can from here. All right, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for having me over. Hope you're all doing well. Okay. So the topic today is what is the Rebbe saying to us in terms of instructions for us regarding Eretz Yisrael now. So we experienced an earthquake a month ago. We are still shaking to a certain degree, obviously. Some people more, some people less, depending also on how much you spend on your phones and your feeds and your various different things. And obviously the way it works with these things I'm noticing is then you start looking at things, so then it keeps on bringing up more and more and more, so it sucks you in like no end, because whatever you're looking at, that's what you're going to keep on getting, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, this, that. And I would have guessed that a lot of you are doing that, which is what I'm doing as well. So as a result of that, I'm still shooken up, and this still affects me deeply and all of us deeply, and it should affect us deeply because what happened is incomprehensible and, as we all know, not okay. So, and part of it has to do with the fact that the event is not closed. There's something that's called, the closure that comes. A tragedy happened. For instance, we had the Meron story. So there, 45 people suddenly were just died in a horrible accident. It was so incomprehensible, but it was over when it was over. And here it's not over, because we're dealing with 240 hostages. We're dealing with soldiers, and sadly, we don't want to look at the news when we find out another soldier was killed, another soldier. This day we get a report of 5 more, 3 more, and the heart just is ripped. In addition to that, there is the global situation that we're all in. I'm very aware when I cross the street who's stopping, who's pulling up. I'm much more aware than I was in the past. I'm looking over my shoulders. I don't know who's coming to the traffic light. There's kooks. There's all kinds of people out there. I'm aware. And when you go to certain places, you're a little nervous for your own safety. The kid goes out, you're a little more concerned. It's the way it is. Sadly, yesterday, they don't say it this way in the news, but a Jew was murdered here in Westlake. So it's not like it's over. It's not over. And this is causes angst and all kinds of, could cause fear and threaten our sense of stability and calmness and whatever. So what does the Rebbe say? Obviously, the basics of the basics that we know from always, and it's not just the Rebbe say, but the Rebbe definitely encouraged us as well. When we're in trouble, we turn to Tehillim and we say Tehillim. But let me make that quite practical. The Rabbeim would say extra Tehillim when there was a time of trouble. And what was the extra Tehillim? Chitas. The Tehillim, we are kind of part of our daily regimen. If you don't do it, or if you sometimes do it more or less, it's a good time to nail it in. Nail it in. I got to do my daily Tehillim every single day. It's a good thing. This is what I do, and it also gives me a place where I can really connect and feel like there's something I am doing and I'm helping out, or I can help on a personal level. Is every morning, right in the morning, before davening, before anything, I say the entire Yom of Tehillim for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So you know that over the week you said the whole Tehillim. It's a 20-minute commitment. I'll tell you, Sunday, Monday is longer. Tuesday is a little shorter. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is pretty. Shabbos is short. It's not that long. It's 20, 25 minutes. Find it during the time of the day. Say Tehillim. First of all, it gives you a sense of security, a sense of strength. You can really feel that you're contributing and you're helping the people that are in danger. Whether it's I created my own Yehiratzin. There's a Yehiratzin that you say after Tehillim when you finish a sefer, and there's the week we used to the Shabbos one, because the Shabbos one is a Shabbos Mavarchim. We say the Shabbos one. The weekday one is a more elaborate Yiratzin. I created my own, meaning I say what it says, but I have a whole bunch of additions. I'm asking for Shmira for the Chayal Tzahal. I just say it. You can say it in English, say it in any language you want. You're asking for hostages to come, even the hostages I mentioned there. You're asking for all the Pitzuim, all the injured to be healed. Right? So these are requests that are applicable, and you can add it to your Tehillim. So I'm talking very practical. It's a good thing to do. And I'm now on my third week. Nothing happened to me. My schedule is pretty well okay, even though I never have a schedule. But Tehillim every day, a Yom Tehillim, if you could, Yom of the week, fantastic. And it's a way we help. Now, regarding Shmira, protection, we know the Rebbe always tells us, it's good to check your mezuzahs. It's always good. And it doesn't only protect you in the house. The mezuzah protects you outside. So a Yid has to do what we need to do. Chitas in the car is also a good idea. And very, very important is simply learning Chitas. And if we've kind of slacked off on Chitas, because especially for women, and it's very hard, you haven't done the commitment, it's a good time to start. Start learning it. Take Rabbi Gordon's shir. He's humorous, he's funny, and he's great. You can listen to him. You do your chitas. It's a good time. It's shmira, simply protection. So that's another thing. Very important instruction from the Rebbe is that we don't panic and we don't feel we don't fear, because what happened, but it didn't happen because God blinked. It happened in an incomprehensible way because it needed to happen in ways that we don't understand. We're a little angry at the Eibishter and we're upset at him for doing it. And we could vent our upsetness as well. Chassidus allows that as well for us. And we can do that. But at the same time, we know the Eibishter's got our back and our front and all of our sides. And he's watching us, and we're more protected than anybody else, and we're safe. The mind plays games. Of course, the mind is going to play games. Now, continuing to the bitachon and the security and the sense that it's okay and it's going to be good, there's another point, and that is that we need to, whatever it is that we're doing, we have to keep a simcha mindset, a joyous mindset, and that's the hard one, because how are you besimcha with all this when you're taking in so many stressful stories and so much pain, because we're not going to avoid it. Okay, so a few of you are heroes who quit watching everything. Fantastic. I really applaud you. I think most people are not capable of really shutting it down. Or maybe, I don't know. I'm not going to argue. Maybe some rabbis are claiming you are capable of doing so. I'm not going to argue with them. I so far haven't found it that I shut it down. I haven't. So, and we take in a lot of this stuff, and it kind of messes with us. And therefore, the simcha is not that easy. But simcha is a must. Now, how do you get to a place of simcha? And this is where and here's also the questions, like, what did the Rebbe give us? Practical hayra for now. So we know this has been discussed by all Chabad rabbis and all the speeches you're going to hear, and I'm not going to bring a chiddush into this. The Rebbe used, sadly, and situations like this to increase our outreach to all Jews. The level of sensitivity that Jews have right now across the world, and the level of how much Jews feel isolated and how much they want to feel that they belong, is unprecedented. Everybody in the entire world that's Jewish is shaking. And as a result of that, they're so open to any bit of reaching out. Now, everybody, if you have a Chabad house and you do that kind of stuff, that's your business. But if you don't realize that you do have connections. You go to the doctor with your kids, and the doctor might be Jewish, the nurse might be Jewish, the someone, you meet people, people, you have people that maybe you are uncomfortable that much, bringing up matters of Mivtzayim Yiddishkeit to them, their neshek and stuff like that. Now is the time. Now is the time to think of all these people, reach out to them. You can invite them Shabbos, or you can just speak to them and tell them neshek. Tell them this is what we need. We need spiritual armor. We need spiritual ammunition, and giving and lighting Shabbos candles. I'm talking particularly for women, is the greatest. The Rebbe said it's neshek. This is what's empowering the war against the last vestige of evil that's in the world. So these things are simple. These are things we just have to remember, that now is the time to increase in this. Now is the time. And people, interesting, what you find is it, which I'm going to lead into the next point, the Mashiach phenomenon of all of this, is that what we would have expected perhaps to a certain degree, I'm not talking about the people that didn't consider themselves at all religious or at all connected or at all totally secular, Shabbat secular. And within the secular world, especially in Israel, we've seen a great divide in the communities, so much so that there would literally, sadly, was leading to a literal serious pandemic of hatred to anything religion related to observance and so on and so forth. So it goes without saying that the people that were caught in the line of fire by surprise on October 7th, those who with miracles were saved, if you listen to their interviews, as secular as there are, they keep on mentioning Hashem's name. Hashgacha al Yonah, and when Nisim that happened, they're talking. And then many of them are describing how they were, again, they're partying all night over there. It wasn't a holy party, although Simchas Torah, it's good to dance. And no, really, it's true. If there was anything that they were doing that's like, okay, so it's like the story it brings us to the story, and I'm not just saying this to limud zchus, it's the emes. There's a story of the Baal Shem Tov. He gives the mashal of why are we dancing at drunk on Purim. He explains because the neshama wants to dance, but the neshamas get blocked, so it drinks up the body, like the prince who once had a celebration. So what he did was he gave everybody to drink so he can party, but his partying was because he got, it was something to do with the king, and the others didn't know the king, so they're just partying because they're partying. So the neshama has to dance as Simchas Torah. So these Yidden went to dance. So mitzad pnimius on neshama, but on the outside, again, I don't know the measure of connection that these people had on a day-to-day level. Doesn't seem like that exactly is the mode that was going on over there. And yet, when you see these people describing when they're running, and obviously there's no atheist in a foxhole. At that moment, they were screaming Shema Yisrael. Everybody's screaming Shema Yisrael spontaneously. It's because the Amun is there. Yeah, Yid has a neshama. And when you're in trouble, you feel it. You sense it. Even non-Jews when they're in trouble. Anybody gets shook. The Rebbe explains the concept of Amor Hu Bizgalos. Amor Hu Bizgalos means that without all philosophical, without all elements of appreciation, understanding the philosophies of godliness and so on and so forth, the very essence of Hashem that's beyond all these lights and all these projections is mamish revealed to everybody. And that's why kids so naturally take to the fact that there's Hashem. It doesn't, kids it's so natural because it's Bizgalos. Hashem is really revealed everywhere. It's just there's a certain block. But yet he's revealed. So that's one thing. But I'm talking about after the story. And the people that were not there. So you would think that there would be such anger by many people and say, it's like post-Holocaust, to say if God can allow this to happen, we want nothing to do with the Eibishter. We want nothing to do with Yiddishkeit. And I can't say that I scanned all of the what's out there on social media, and I didn't see this. The energy that we're feeling and the sense that we're feeling is the Jews are getting excited about being more, meaning people are connecting deeper to Hashem, and they're connecting to Yiddishkeit, and they're connecting to each other, and they all want to be Jewish, and they all want to be connected. There's some fear, okay, but people want to be Jewish. So that's all feeds into what we said earlier. Now is the time that we all need to spring into action and actually fire our spiritual cannons and get involved in getting more Yidden involved with Yiddishkeit and so on and so forth. But all of this could have been said in 1967. All of this could have been said in 1973. We are now talking in the year 2023. We're talking in the year Tafshin Pei Dalet. And we have to realize that the entire narrative is completely different. And I don't hear this enough coming from the Chabad microphone. And here is what it is. It's just simple terms. It's Parshas Chayei Sarah this week. 32 years ago, our Rebbe had a Kinnis HaShluchim, like it is this Shabbos. I'm going to New York, Kinnis HaShluchim. And all the Shluchim are sitting in the room with the Rebbe. And the Rebbe comes down, and the Rebbe gives an entire Sikha, which it wasn't in a vacuum. It came after weeks and weeks of build-up. But the Rebbe has all of his generals and all of his shluchim. And the Rebbe is speaking about the mission, where we're at. And the Rebbe introduces the talk with the crazy words. The Rebbe says that from time to time that there is an upgrade in shlichus. In other words, in general, a Yid serves Hashem. We all serve Hashem. But exactly what the focus is and how we do it and what we're doing changes. And the Rebbe says, I am now delivering to all the shluchim and through them to all Yidden, because the Rebbe in the Sikha says explicitly that the Nasi Hador was memana every single person in the generation to be his shliach. The Rebbe says, Allah has kama v'kama, those who live, who are shluchim in terms of their dedicate their life, in terms of their whole gashmius is also that they're shluchim. But the Rebbe says there's no one that's out of this. He doesn't even say Lubavitchers. He says this applies to every single Jew in the world. Everybody is a shliach. And the Rebbe says, what's the shlichus? The shlichus, the Rebbe says, is that all the work of Torah and mitzvahs that we were supposed to do in order to bring the Geula was done already. It was done. Completed, finito, done. The Rebbe says, so what now? Now, Mashiach is already here. He's present in the world. All shluchim need to go out to the rest of the world and tell the entire world to teach them and help prepare all their communities. And again, if he's talking to shluchim, that means each and every one of us at our places to be makabel pnei Mashiach tzidkenu. We'll talk about that in a moment, what that could mean. But first, the idea. There's a different shlichus. There's a shift. I have to make a little introduction. And the introduction is as follows. We always come to a certain point when we say the Rebbe was right. Because the Rebbe is right. So we always come to that recognition sooner or later. He doesn't always seem to be right at the beginning. And there are many times that when he says something and the immediate situation doesn't look like that. And this is regarding private counsel that the Rebbe gives and gave all the time. Many times, people called and there was a situation. Every doctor said emergency surgery. And the Rebbe said, no. How many stories did we have from people fighting tooth and nails that doctors wanted to arrest them at the point? And Chassidim fought. The Rebbe said, no is no. In Israel, it was so common to see fights in hospitals because people called the Rebbe and the Rebbe gave an answer, came, or they would wait and not consenting to the surgery until the Rebbe's answering. And the doctors were going crazy, emergency now. And it always turned out when the Rebbe said something, when you listened was good, and you didn't listen was not good, right? Now we know that. When it comes to global issues, everybody in Israel is saying now the Rebbe was right. Well, for the last 30 years, they weren't saying that. They tried what the Rebbe said, don't do that, because you're going to bring exactly what happened now is going to happen. So I watched the video just yesterday. I saw a clip when they pulled out of Gaza. Ariel Sharon decided that it's for peace sake, it's time to dismantle the Jewish communities in Gaza. They literally packed their bags and they completely left and they moved away and everything. And they said, okay, and hopefully the Palestinians are going to be nice and happy because we giving them their own space and we're not in their space anymore. Let them do their own thing and they'll live in peace and quiet and harmony with us. That was the decision. So at that time, there was a big event. Chabad Rabbanim, led by Reb Shalom Ber Volpe was one of them, and he's the one I heard speaking. He's interviewed. They had a big event, I don't know where, in a big hall, and basically powerful protest against this recklessness of the Israeli government to open up Chas v'Shalom such danger to all the Jewish people. So they had this thing, and the Israeli television comes and interviews Rabbi, one of the stations interviews Rabbi Volpe. And they say to him, what's your message? And he says, my message is that what you're doing right now, you have no right to do because you're putting my life and everybody that's living over here's lives in danger. And they said, well, what do you mean? There's a new dawn. We have to think about the future, this and that, and that. And he says, I'm telling you that what's going to happen is you're opening up over here. This is going to become the entire place is going to become a haven for terrorists, and they're going to shoot rockets from here everywhere, and then they can infiltrate. When I heard him talking, it was like literally, it was scary because he was literally saying what just happened. And they're looking at him and they're saying, well, the state of Israel decided that this is what we're doing. So how can you publicly go and condemn and this? You're going against everything and whatever. It's his bad voice, and they're like really pushing him away. And the person is giving him a lot of pushback. Again, it was in Hebrew, and I'm not giving you the entire thing, but the point over here was now everybody sees exactly what happened. They gave them Gaza, and by giving them Gaza, this became literally an Iranian extension in the doorstep of Eretz Yisrael. Go understand this. And everybody, God forbid, was in danger. Hopefully they're going to clean it out now to the point where the danger will be over. Mashiach is coming anyways. But, so what do we see? The Rebbe is right. The Rebbe is right, and eventually everybody sees he's right. Now, why is the Rebbe right? Why is the Rebbe right? You can say because the Rebbe is, his wisdom is and supreme. And he can analyze and see things. We say it in Pirkei Avos, Eza Chacham, Rayas HaNoilin. And the Rebbe is blessed to be the leader of the Jewish people with extra doses of Chachma and wisdom. And he can see, and he knows the Arab mentality, and he knows, and if you give him a finger, they want a hand, and they'll never say, if you're giving in to them, then it's actually going to whet their appetite. And based on that is what the Rebbe is saying, what he's saying. That's a very shallow and not a Hasidic understanding of what a Rebbe is. To put it bluntly, and I'm probably not even saying enough because it's much deeper than what I'm saying, but I think in a simple words, the Rebbe is the Eibishter's microphone in this world. Period. Look at a microphone. Does the microphone say anything of its own? Does it have anything of its ideas? A microphone is nothing other than the voice of the speaker is coming through and amplified. The Rebbe is the Eibishter's microphone to the world. If that's the case, the Eibishter doesn't make mistakes because he creates the world, sustains the world, directs the world, creates everything yesh me'ayin, and therefore what he says is right, is the ultimate truth. Because Hashem creates the world with concealments and blockages and all kinds of things. So sometimes he allows it, just like Hashem allows us to deny him as well. But therefore it doesn't make a difference when the Rebbe said what. Which people sometimes, I think, believe that because the Rebbe only said this in the last year, maybe he's already a little old, it was right before the stroke, people maybe don't want to say it, but they think it. It's ridiculous, it's insane. Chas v'shalom, and it's about time that this truth is told. The Rebbe spent an entire year telling us, Yidden, I want you to know, Higia zman gulaschem, the time of the redemption has arrived. And you need to prepare yourself for the Geula. And you need to go around your communities and to people and to teach people. So what does it mean? Kabbalah's Pnei Mashiach Tzedkenu. And again, the Rebbe wasn't just speaking in theory, because when the Rebbe has the Shluchim are very pragmatic, down-to-earth people who deal with reality. They really are. It's not like the Rebbe sitting with Rabbi Yochanan and giving some abstract chassidus. We're talking about shluchim. And these people leave their communities, they're coming to get instructions from the Rebbe, and the Rebbe is telling them exactly, this is your work that needs to do. And again, through the shluchim, he's speaking to all of us. The Farbrengen was printed and is printed, and you can all learn it. And it's not just B'chaya Sarah Farbrengen, as I told you, it's week after week. But the message is one thing. But his Parshas Chaya Sarah this week, the Rebbe spells it out in very clear words. He says, the work has all been done. Mashiach has already been sent to redeem the Jewish people. In order for Mashiach to do his work, he needs help. This is what the Rebbe says. He needs help. What's the help? To help him do his work to redeem the Jewish people. The help that he needs is that the people, we have to be able to be makabel him. So what does that mean? Let's understand that a little bit. What does that mean? Kabbalah's Pnei Mashiach Tzedkenu. That's our avodah. And the Rebbe goes on and says that means we continue doing everything we do in Shlichus. We Mekarev Yidden, we're Meifetz Meyonis, we teach Chassidus, we're doing everything we continue doing. But it's infused with the energy of being Mekabel Pnei Mashiach. That's one idea the Rebbe says. And then immediately in the next paragraph, he says, and how do you do this, B'Payel Mamish? How do you do it literally? He says, the way it is done, and I'm going to try to explain this a little bit, the Rebbe says, is by explaining and teaching in Yonai Shel Mashiach, the concept of Mashiach, needs to be explained. It needs to be taught to all the people around, so that those people will now be ready to be makabel pnei Mashiach Tzidkenu. And this is the Rebbe's final instructions for the last few months we heard from him. As he's addressing the time we're in, and he's saying the era has changed. We moved into a new phase of reality. This is where we're at right now. So let me try to put that into a little bit of a little bit of an understanding. Where else do we use Kabbalah? Kabbalahs. We use Kabbalah Shabbos, for example. What does it mean, Kabbalah Shabbos? We all do Kabbalah Shabbos. So what does Kabbalah Shabbos mean? Kabbalah Shabbos means Shabbos is coming whether you're being Mekabelim or you're not being Mekabelim, right? Shabbos is coming. Shabbos comes. Shabbos is a holiness, and it's a certain godly light that's present in the world, a divine energy that's present in the world. Now our avodah is, so now what does it mean to be Kabbalah's Pnei Shabbos? In other words, you can kind of tune out of Shabbos, and Shabbos still affects you. Whether you're tuned in, whether you're thinking about the Shabbos is coming, whether you're tuning in both to the spiritual energies, to the beautiful moments of what Shabbos brings us, family time, and all the you could just, tune out completely of Shabbos, or you can prepare yourself. And preparing for Shabbos, you know much more than me what it takes, all the work that goes in, and making physically Shabbos, preparing the home for Shabbos, preparing food for Shabbos. But also there's the mental preparation that you prepare yourself, some more, some less. But the idea is, and then you light your candles, and then you sit down and you daven mincha. If you say Kabbalah Shabbos, you probably have kids that make you crazy then. But whatever it is, if you're able to, and you're tuning in, and Shabbos is coming, and there's an energy. So basically, there can be a very strong, powerful spiritual thing. But the point over here is when Shabbos is coming, the point over here is you drop other stuff and you turn your attention to the fact that Shabbos is coming. And that's how. Or I'll give you another example. When it comes to the Hasidic Yom Tovim, there's special times. What do we mean? That Yutas Kislev, for instance, is a powerful energy in the world, powerful Hasidic energy in the world. What are we supposed to do when it comes to Yutas Kislev? You organize. That's what you always are doing for the young women. In your case, Lubavitchers and all different. We make a farbrengen. You learn something special for Yutas Kislev. You make a shir special. If we prepare the way we're supposed to, we try to make even a share a week before, so that we kind of put our minds into it. Why? Because this powerful energy is here. It can just wash right over you, or you can be cognizant of it. You can be aware of it. You can be recognize that there's something powerful that's happening, and you're tuning yourself in to welcome it, to bring it into your neshama, to know it, to connect to it. So, and when we understand the same thing comes to redemption, just to see when the Rebbe says that we have to teach people so that people are ready to be makabel pnei Mashiach. That's a spiritual type of a connection. People need to connect. Why? Because we know when we went out of Mitzrayim, what happened? Going out of Golus doesn't just mean, it's not just a physical entity. It's not just a physical thing that you take the people, you take them from here, you bring them over there. Going out of Golus means getting out of a certain darkness, of a certain constriction, being able to reveal your deeper self, your deeper soul, your higher self, and then you can start living a higher, godlier life with a higher consciousness and a higher awareness, a far more spiritual existence. That's what it means to go out of Golus. That's why we know that when they went out of Golus, where did they go? They went to be Makabel the Torah, and they went up the 49 rungs of purification until they were able to be Makabel the Torah. They received the Torah. So what does that mean? That going out of Golus requires. Now, so what happened in Mitzrayim? There were those who didn't want to go out, which means they did not do the spiritual connection. They were kind of disconnected from it. They didn't want to go out, and they weren't preparing in whatever it is that at least the connection that they needed to make in Mitzrayim was that they needed to hear what Moshe Rabbeinu was saying, Geula is coming, and they don't want to. By them wanting to, it's already in their consciousness. They're already connecting. They're making a bond to the concept of Geula, of redemption that's coming. And then Moshe Rabbeinu can come and can take them out of Golus. What are we told regarding this Geula? It's the same thing. It's just that this time we're told that everybody will go out. But why will everybody go out? Because we don't need connection? Because Mashiach will pluck everybody out by force? No. Because we're told that Hashem is going to wake up every single Jew, like he just did a few weeks ago. We were all shooken, and Jews have woken up. The Eibishter is going to wake up every Jew, and Jews will want Geula. They'll want Mashiach. They'll want to connect. In Mitzrayim, it was possible that a person should remain locked and not want. By this Geula, every Jew will have an awakening. But that still means that we need to awaken. So the Rebbe is saying, of course, it could be a moment when the Eibishter will shake us all. But the Rebbe is hoping and wishing that we should start already awakening ourselves and connecting people. And I don't want to talk hypotheticals. If we would all do this, Mashiach could have come. I don't want to talk hypotheticals. I don't know anything. But what we do know is that when we talk about what is our avodah right now, most important, especially when we received such a shuckle, when we received a earthquake 0.9, at least on the Richter scale, when we're ready to make a change, we're ready to spring into action. The first thing that should kind of click in our minds is, how are we doing? And what the Rebbe told us is the call of the hour right now, to prepare ourselves and our surroundings to greet Mashiach, which means we really need to know about Mashiach. And the Rebbe says the way you're going to know about Mashiach is you're going to learn about it. That means that most of our shiurim today's days need to be on the subject of Mashiach. We need to speak about this. We need to learn about this. We need to mamish kochsach in it. This needs to be like at the forefront. This needs to be bubbling in us all along. Now let's understand something. And I'm going to bring this a little deeper. When we say kochsach, doesn't mean not Chassidus. Now Mashiach. The Rebbe, for instance, explained, right, in Tafshin Yud Aleph, when the Rebbe became, right, the Rebbe took the mantle of leadership, the Rebbe said that the Friedrich Rebbe had many Chassidim. And in this Chassidim, there's different groups. There are the groups that the Friedrich that are business people, and there's this group, that group, and then there are business people, and then there are people that the Rebbe says that are people that are working for the Friedrich Rebbe, but they're working more in the Gashmiistic arena. For example, they're more like running the schools on the physical level. Then there are those that were involved with on the Friedrich Rebbe scale with Torah and mitzvahs, more chinuch. They were more on higher in Yanim. And then there were mashpiyim who taught Chassidus, right? So the Rebbe goes ahead and the Rebbe says that really, so what's now? The Rebbe says, now that I'm becoming Rebbe, since we're standing right now already in the last tekufa that's supposed to prepare the world for Mashiach, the main avodah, the Rebbe said this already, Tafshin Yud Aleph, right when the Rebbe becomes Rebbe, the main avodah now has to be afatzas hamayonis. The main avodah now needs to be that we have to teach Chassidus everywhere. And the Rebbe therefore says, even those people that are engaged in chinuch, teaching Aleph Beis, their pnimius of the Aleph Beis needs to be to drop a Chassidish avort, to sneak in, not sneak, but to infuse it with Chassidus. Because Chassidus is the pnimius. So what does that mean? It's not saying, the Rebbe is not saying that, okay, there was Torah and mitzvahs, and now there's something else called Chassidus. The Rebbe is saying, what's the pnimius of Torah and mitzvahs? Chassidus. So now it's not enough just to be oisek with Yidden to do a mitzvah. There has to also be, when you're doing a Yidden mitzvah, you have to kind of give him the Chassidus of the mitzvah, so that you're infusing the Chassidus as well. You're not just doing afatzas hayahadus, you're doing afatzas hayahadus with Chassidus. So the same thing when the Rebbe upgrades us, and the Rebbe told us in Tafshin then at this Sicha Chayasara that we finished the work of afatzas hamayonis. So we can't see anymore teaching a Maimer as the goal. We have to see that Mashiach has to be spoken of, but that does not mean that that's something else. You don't learn Chassidus. No. What's the pnimius of the pnimius? What's the inner neshama of every Maimer? The Gili of Mashiach, Achtos Havaya, that's going to be revealed when Mashiach comes. Question is, are you connecting it to Mashiach, that Mashiach is present and it's happening now, and we should prepare to receive this Achtos, this unity of God? And how does this trickle down in my practical life right now as we're standing ready to greet Mashiach? Or no, you're enjoying the Chassidus of it, and the Inyanim can be spoken on their own. So where the Rebbe is steering us is to the place to appreciate, to understand, and to recognize that our neshama, our koch, our fire, our soul needs to be in the Geula, and that Mashiach is about to come. Mashiach is coming, and therefore, what does that mean? What does it mean, Mashiach Tzedkenu himself? Tell me about him. What should I know about him? What does this man of Tkufas Mashiach mean? What are the divine revelations? And what is my life going to look like? And how can I start making my life right now more in sync with Mashiach's time so that I'm ready. I'm not coming like a total loser into the Geula. I'm kind of with the program. I'm in it. I've been expecting about it. I've been speaking about it. And the truth is, because Mashiach is the pneumius of everything, so it touches us in the Yechidah Shebenafesh. And therefore, if you turn on that spark inside of yourself, and the Rebbe says the only way to do it is to learn about it, and then it acts like a magnet. It pulls out the Yechidah in you. What's going to happen is it's impossible not to see Mashiach in everything you see. You'll see it in everything. You'll see it in every mime, every sikha. You'll see it in every conversation. You'll see it in every event that happens in the world. You'll hear it. You'll see it. There's nothing, and you hear a butterfly going by you, and you're seeing Mashiach in it. Because Mashiach is the purpose of everything, and that's your life. You have to do that. If you ever came to Mayan, to our shul, you'll hear that there's not one speech that's not about Mashiach. Not that I try. In the last couple of years, I'm consumed. Now, I have a lot of work to do on my personal life. A lot. The speaker, the talking about Mashiach, but is rolling on. Imagine if that would be in all of the Lubavitcher shuls and in all everywhere. And if, for whatever reason, there's some holdback because people are kind of didn't get the memo, like the Rebbe said, let's update, and kind of got a little stuck. If that happened, then I turn to the ladies, because it's you that have the iskashrus, pnimis, and atzmis in a way that that men are sometimes can be a little bit wobbly, and therefore it's something that that we right now, especially when, I don't know why you're gonna like my mashal now. When she was a little baby, I gave her baths, so I'm thinking about the bath, and I didn't do baths other than. So when the bath water was going down, if you're taking a bath or you're giving a baby whatever, you're watching, and let's say there's a hair or something there, and you're watching it. So I know that this is exactly perfect, Marshall, for you. The hair could be swimming around in the water, and you can be watching it, or a piece of I don't know what, and you're watching it. But then what happens? There's a certain point when it gets into the whirlpool, right? It's like it could be swimming around wherever in the bathtub, but there's a certain point once you're draining the water in the front of the bathtub or next to the drain, what happens? Once it gets into that whirlpool, it's going. There's no stopping it. It'll spin, and then the closer it's getting to going down, it's like spinning really fast, and then there's no stopping it. It's going down. So each and every one can decide exactly at which rung of this thing, but here's the thing: we're going down the chute now of Mashiach. Baruch Hashem, it's not a bathtub chute; it's not going down there. We're going into we're really actually right now the entire world is already inside that spin. We've been spinning for the last 4 years with Corona, with everything else that is happening, and with this event. In other words, the fact that what we saw as normal and regular is cracking. That's the point, which is indicating that change is happening. And it's becoming louder and louder. You know, when you hear a tribe, coming, as if I live in Africa and I hear tribes coming, but you can hear the noise of the drums. You can hear the noise of the drums at a distance, and it's getting louder, and it's getting louder, and it's getting louder, and now the drum is right behind us. There's a certain point where you got to realize that the drums are banging right by the door. The entire world is awake to Mashiach. Everybody. It's no more Lubavitch talk. It's everybody talking. Someone shared with me a big sign in Lakewood calling Rosh Chodesh Kislev next week. Everybody get together. We're making tambourines. You'll laugh what I told the men today on my group. I said, why are only the women's making tambourines? Why aren't we making tambourines? I said that by Mitzrayim, the men were losers because the women were prepared and the men didn't have it. So why should we do it again? Why don't? So I'm trying to also work on different things. We're working on trying to unify the two. Sadly, I don't even know. I'm to bring a one unified kinnis this year because all this politics, we're working on doing it. And I think a perfect idea. We bring everybody together and everybody makes tambourines. That would be beautiful. But the point over here is it really is time to make those tambourines. It's not a joke. It's not a joke. And we feel we're in that spin already, and it's spinning faster and faster. We might as well open up our minds and go there the way the Rebbe wants us to go there. Learning ourselves about Mashiach and teaching it. And when you do that, first of all, you're not depressed, you're not down, you're seeing a lot of light, but that's the emes, that's the truth. So if I can suggest one thing for everybody over here, we all have to introduce much more Mashiach in our life. As much as we have, much more Mashiach. And I'm going to give you one little thing you can do. You can join every day. I give a 5-minute. I'll share it with literally, we were inspired last year by our Mashiach Suda. We thought, like, what can we do that will keep us connected to Mashiach? So I said, listen, the Rebbe, Achron Shel Pesach was the Rebbe most Mashiach day. So the Rebbe would say a mimer. So I'm going to teach the Achron Shel Pesach Maimarim. So I said, listen here, we'll do a 5-minute every day audio recording. And I send it on WhatsApp. Now there's 700 people. We finished already 3 Maimarim, Tafshin Yud Aleph, Tafshin Yud Beis, and Tafshin Yud Gimel. We started Tafshin Yud Dalet. We're holding the 6th class was today. Tomorrow's the 7th class. 5 minutes. And it's deep Maimarim, but it's Mashiach. So at least you have the consciousness. Listen to whatever you want. That's one example, but there's shiurim and there's learn, but we got to that's where the energy has to go. If you're asking where the Rebbe is telling us regarding our time, he told us that our time is the Geula. I don't have an explanation for 30 years, and I want to share with you something that kind of flipped me over yesterday. I'm busy speaking the last 3-4 weeks saying, you know what, it's at least pain of childbirth. Look at it as pain of childbirth, right? When there's childbirth, there's contractions, and the contractions, this is what's going on. And the stronger the contraction is a sign that we're mamish there. And I thought that that's the Mashiach message, because after all, and then I saw a video yesterday, with the Rebbe, when someone walks by the Rebbe, and he says to the Rebbe that this rabbi is asking that you sent him a letter, and in the letter you wrote that we finished already the Chevlei Mashiach. The Chevlei Mashiach are over. So Rebbe, are you saying, he wants to know, this Rav wants to know, are you saying that just in writing, or also is it your feeling? Very interesting question. Is this what you're feeling? The Rebbe says more in English, more than just feeling. It's the reality. So the Rebbe kind of pulled that out from beneath me. I can't even say it could be the afterbirth contraction. I don't have. I don't see. I don't know what to say. I'm saying so. Then I said, okay, I'm not going to say. I have no idea. But the one thing I do know is that what we were told 32 years ago is where we're standing. That's where we're standing, and therefore, it's catching up to us now. Now, where's our avodah? We have to really put ourselves in that mindset, teach it, inspire others. The world is waiting for us to teach. We have the answers because Hasidus has the Torah of Mashiach inside of it. The rest of the world doesn't have it as deep and as connected to the neshama of Mashiach like we have it. So we must know it for ourselves, know it for others, share it for others. So that is what I think is where the avodah is right now, and with the able to help that we should do what we need to do. L'chaim. Oh, it was actually.
Adjusting to the new reality.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Rebbe.